Hello everyone and welcome to a video I promised I would make when I get the time. Now the final round of the Sinkfeld Cup is over, and here it is. This is in short how to use Lotus Chess. Now Lotus Chess is an app available for both Android and iOS that will help you learn how to fight. Basically it teaches you fighting chess, and it is very much different than pretty much everything else that's out there that teaches you dry engine lines or something that someone prepared and saying specifically play this line, and on this move play this, on this move play this. This sort of incorporates what you like to play. It uses your own openings and then enhances them in the most aggressive way possible. So this is basically how it starts out. You download the app Lotus Chess, available, like I said, both on iOS and Android. This is an Android interface. I tried iOS like 2 years ago, didn't really care for it, so I'm back to Android. Some people prefer iOS. What are you going to do? And it asks you, where do you play? Do you play on chess.com or do you play on Lichess? Now here for this video, I've created a new account to basically show you what it does. I already use Lotus Chess with my original account, AGADMATOR on Lichess, so I don't know if I can use the same one twice, so I'm going to use a different one. I've played some 50 games, and then once you enter your username, asks you, okay, do you play on chess.com or on Lichess? You click submit, and then it will load all of your games. Loading your games. Okay, let's see. Some blitz games and some blood games. Takes a while to create, and it immediately will create a repertoire, and then it says, okay, you like playing this, let's enhance it. So let's see what it'll come up with. Taking some 20 seconds, and once we get that ready, we're also gonna let me just properly fix this. There we go. Yeah, I thought it'd be easier to just use a sort of an Android emulator to show you this, but of course they stack it with ads. And this is what you get when you log into Lotus Chess for the first time. So it asks you, okay, you can also choose, do you want a light cover, do you want a dark cover, do you want like a medium cover, and it already prepared today's workout. And then you can practice your white openings, and then also you can practice your black openings. So something that you play with white, they enhance it. Something you play with black, they also enhance it. And here you also have openings. You have puzzles where you can, just improve on your puzzles. Every time you log in, you solve a puzzle, you get a sort of a streak. And then on my main app, I think I now crossed the 37-day streak, and I've already lost it once. So it's I've been using it for like 40 something days straight, basically since the first time I mentioned Lotus Chess. Here you have a history of all of your games that you can load up and check them out. You have the stats. What are your stats with the white pieces, with the black pieces, with different time formats: bullet, blitz, and rapid. And here you have your profile, where you can obviously set everything. The dark mode, you can choose fast moves, so the moves are played pretty much instantly. You can also use colorblind mode. You can use rolling text if you prefer that. Sound effects on or off, and then also you can follow them on social networks. But okay, getting back to what we want to see is how does it actually work. So let's say with white, it's very popular today. You want to brush up on your London. I don't, as I don't play the London. So let's say with black, you want to practice how to play against the London system. Well, or no, I already made a tutorial on that. Let's make something. Let's say you want to learn how to play the King's Gambit. Now, if you are an e4 player, and if you face the King's Gambit, if your opponent plays e4 quite a lot and you play the King's Gambit, it will immediately be offered here. As this is a new account, I don't think I've employed the King's Gambit on this one just yet, as I've played a handful of games maybe. You can open up this a little menu here, and you can go search openings. You go Kings, and then you just capture it, King's Gambit. Okay, there we have it. You get a nice green check mark, and you go back, and now the King's Gambit will be waiting for you right here. So the King's Gambit with white, let's see how it works. Okay, So we choose the King's Gambit, and we can learn the top 25 positions. Then when you learn the top 25 positions, your rank increases, you get some points, it's overall a very enjoyable experience, but let's see what it teaches us. So let's go. So it says our goal here is to teach you a line so you can play it like a grandmaster in your own games, and this will only be said once you start it up. So okay, it says E captures an F4, and then it teaches you play the move indicated by the green arrow. This will also be explained only once, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so upon capturing the King's Gambit, we're going to play knight f3 and then pawn to g5. This was also played, if you guys followed my Morphy saga, in the legendary Morphy versus Anderson games, and g5 is actually the best move for black, and countering it with h4 is the best. g4, we can play knight e5. There are also some crazy lines. You can go d4, bishop to c4, but if you want to play the best moves, if you want to go fighting chess, then this is how you do it. Knight e5, h5, bishop to c4, putting pressure on f7, black defends with knight to h6, and now you strike with pawn to d4. And here you can be very satisfied. In the upper left corner, you can see the evaluation is white is in sort of a little plus, 0.23, and you can have a very, very nice game in a very, very sharp opening. And then, okay, it says now try to play the line correctly without any guidance. Now, for me, this will be easy, as I know the line, and it's one of the first lines that I've ever learned, and I like the King's Gambit. So, okay, we just play pawn to h4, the knight is attacked, we go knight to e5, and we challenge the f7 pawn. The knight defends the f7 pawn, and we grab the full center with pawn to d4. So now we click next, and now we improve on that, and also after each new line, you'll enter a flashcard mode. So now it will quiz you. Do you recognize the positions, and do you know the correct reply after every position? So okay, this is obviously a position after the pawn was captured, so the correct move is knight to f3. Then it asks me, okay, but what after pawn to g4? Okay, you play knight e5. What after pawn to g5? Okay, now you challenge it with pawn to h4, and you get a congratulations. You get your first day streak, and you will be congratulated every day if you keep improving. So we click continue, and then you can turn on or off notifications. Here we're gonna not allow them, as well, this is a training session, but I do allow them on my actual phone, and it's not like intrusive like you have with Duolingo, where the little bird is harassing you every day. Why are you not learning Spanish? It's a polite reminder once a day. If you're not interested, you can easily shut it off. It's not going to harass you or anything. Okay, we click continue. And okay, already some very interesting fighting chess. This is also what I like to play as black against the King's Gambit. This is the Folkbeer counter Gambit, and now it will teach me how to face that. Okay, against the Folkbeer, you capture on d5. Black will, of course, play pawn to e4. You play pawn to d3, knight f6, and you will capture on e4. And after knight captures, you will go knight f3, bishop to c5, now threatening that f2 square, and you will go queen to e2. As the knight is now pinned. And if you're, not sure about this position, you're like, yes, okay, I can remember the moves, but it looks odd. Can't my opponent just go bishop to f2 check? Well, if you don't really believe it, or if it feels weird, you can also click the little magnifier down there, and then you click the magnifier, and then you can ask, okay, but what if bishop to f2 check? Okay, just king d1, and you're winning. Your evaluation is +2. And the knight on e4 is hanging, so there's really not a good reply. If black plays pawn to f5, you can just challenge the knight, and that's all there is. Now you're threatening to capture the knight and then the bishop, and if the bishop moves, you can just pick up the knight. After pawn captures, you will play queen captures on e4, and you've already won a ton of material with not a lot for black to do. For example, bishop to e7, bishop to c4, you castle kingside, and that's it. Or or rather, you can't castle, you already moved your king, but whatever white does is perfectly fine, as you're up so much in evaluation, and there's just not a lot of good moves that black can do. For example, black castles kingside, already you can give a check, win the bishop, and that's it. So it teaches you good lines, and if you really don't believe them, like I just didn't, I'm kidding, I know it's a fine line, but you can always inspect here, and then you don't have to merely memorize it. You can also just say, okay, so that's the point. So, okay, we're going to click continue, and now we're going to repeat the line. So black goes for the Folkbeer counter gambit. We're going to capture on d5, pawn to e4. We're going to challenge the pawn, knight f6. We're going to capture. And then after knight captures, now the question is, okay, what do you play here? So I'm going to play knight to f3. Okay. Bishop to c5, threatening the df2 square. We're just going to play queen to e2, and we've solved the line. We know how to play it, and we no longer have to fear the Folkbeer counter gambit if we are a king's gambit player, at least this line, because it's perfectly fine for white. So now you're going to click next, and now the flashcard mode uses your time wisely. Okay. With the spaced repetition method, we focus on the positions you struggle with the most. Okay, got it. Since I didn't, I think I got all of them right. It's not going to focus on them, but as soon as I get one of them wrong, it will throw it in a bit more often. Then your brain will pick up on it, and you will learn the position. So this helps you eliminate your weaknesses quickly and deepen your knowledge effectively. Okay, got it. So this is the position, the Folkbeer counter gambit. We know that we just capture and wait for that pawn push. But now this is a position from the first section of the moves that we've learned. So my opponent just played pawn to h5. I know I have to go after the f7 pawn. It's the king's gambit. So bishop to c4. Okay, knight goes to h6, defends the f7 pawn. I grab the full center, pawn to d4. Very nice. And okay, now comes knight to c6. So this is the third set of ideas that black can throw at you. First, we had the king's gambit accepted with e captures on f4, then the Folkbeer counter gambit with d5. And now black can also just not do that, go knight to c6. So how would you react to the knight to c6 move? Now it teaches you, okay, we go knight f3, pawn to d6, we go knight to c3. So we get our knights into the game, and black plays bishop to g4. Okay, fights for the central d4 square, pinning our knight. We're going to go bishop to b5, pin the black knight as well. And now after knight f6, we demand that, black shows us his or her intentions by challenging the bishop. h3, captures and captures. And we have a very nice position. We don't have to worry about knight d4. The knight is pinned, and we can just play d3, castles, d4, get the bishop into the game, or whatever is needed. Okay, so we continue, and now we again get the quiz. But first we get the quiz regarding the third line, and then all of it mixed together. So, okay, knight to c6. How do we continue? We're going to play knight to f3. Okay, d6. We get our other knight into the game. Bishop to g4, and we pin the knight on c6. We're going to play bishop to b5, and after knight to f6, we're just going to castle kingside, or no, we don't. There you go. There's a mistake. We play pawn to h3, so it asks us, no, play the move that you've learned. Sometimes, if you prefer a different move and it's not that terrible, the app will ask you, do you want to switch to this? Because it's also fine. It's just not what we recommend. So you will be able to switch, but this is not one of those cases. So, okay, captures, and now we can continue. So, okay, I've made one mistake, and now this mistake should be inserted into the quiz as, I've made a mistake. So it will ask me, how do you continue here? So it immediately asks me, okay, do I remember if have I learned? Okay, I say pawn to h3. I've learned. Now I click continue, and now it does not believe me. It says, all right, now prove that you've learned it. Okay, we go knight f3, d6, we go knight to c3, bishop g4, we go bishop to b5, and now after knight f6, we will remember that. Okay, now it's time to challenge the bishop. Pawn to h3, captures, and we know also this line now. So that's 3 lines of the king's gambit. We know how to play against e captures on f4. We can counter the Folkbeer counter gambit, and we can play against this knight to c6 line. However you want to put it in your brain. Do you develop the knights first? Do you pin the knight on c6, challenge the bishop on g4 with h3? I guess, different things work differently for different people. So, however you want to do it, that's also perfectly fine. So now it's quiz time. Again, this is the position from the Folkbeer counter gambit that we encountered, and we're going to challenge it with knight to c3. Or no, we don't. There you go. First challenge it with pawn to d3, and now after knight f6, now we capture it. Captures on e4. Now it says again, okay, I don't believe you learned it. Try it again. Pawn to d3. Okay, now this position, knight f6, we already pinned the knight here, bishop to b5, and it asks, what do you play here? So as this is the position we already messed up, we castle here instead of challenging the bishop with h3. The app asks us to, confirm that we've learned. So pawn to h3, we challenge the bishop. Okay, now what do you play here? Pawn to e4. Do you play knight c3 like I've just blundered, or have I learned? Pawn to d3. Ah, okay, so that is how you counter the Folkbeer's counter gambit. And now we play continue. Okay, so now a fourth line. So black can capture, black can go for the Folkbeer counter gambit, black can play knight c6, but also black can just play pawn to d6. So how do we challenge this structure? By playing the seemingly timid pawn to d3. Okay, knight c6, we have knight f3, bishop to g4, and bishop to e2, knight f6, and we castle kingside. So it's a very, very calm opening of let's say d3, knight 3, bishop d2 castles, and pawn to c3, where you're not pushing immediately for anything, but you control the full center and really nothing to worry about here. Now you'll play continue. The engine will ask, okay, or the app will ask, do you remember how to continue? And you do, as you are a very strong player. So you're going to play this d3 line. You're going to play knight to f3, bishop g4, bishop to e2. You're going to castle kingside, and now on bishop to e7, you're going to say, okay, knight c3 seems like the correct move, but why not grab the full center, c3, and then you can play d4 later on. You have support on everything, so it's a fine position for white. So now you're going to click next, and now we again enter quiz mode. So knight captures on e4 was played. This is a position from the Folkbeer counter gambit, and now we continue. So we captured the pawn on e4, black capture with the knight, and now we continue challenging the knight. We're gonna go knight to f3. Okay, so now it asks, okay, but what do you play here? Again, because I've blundered, I play knight to c3 when in fact you have to challenge the pawn with d3, and now we have this knight to f6 line again because I've blundered by castling here, when in fact you have to challenge the bishop with h3. And okay, now it says, okay, you've learned some of it, so now let's test you for real. The Folkbeer counter gambit, let's say captures, but now not pawn to e4, which is almost always played. Black can also just choose to capture on f4, which to my mind doesn't seem to be all that impressive, but obviously people do play it. Okay, so knight f3, knight f6, we're going to go bishop to b5, c6, we're going to capture, and after knight captures, knight to c3, bishop to d6, black also wants the castle, we're going to give a check, and after bishop to e6, we're going to go knight to d4, and you have a very nice pressure against your opponent. The position is fine for both white and black, but you will be able to develop. And again, if you want to inspect it further, if you're interested in some deeper moments in the position, you can also go analyze and then check what happens. Do you castle? Do you go d3 right away? How do you capture that pawn on f4 if needed at all? And so on and so on. So okay, we're gonna go continue, and now we're gonna capture the Folkbeer counter gambit, and our opponent played the captures on f4. We're gonna go knight to f3, knight to f6, and we're gonna go what do we go? Knight to c3? No, it's bishop to b5 check right away. So see, I don't know this line. I make a mistake right away. Knight captures, and now knight to c6. Bishop to d6, and now we go for what? We go for queen to e2 check, and then after bishop blocks, we go knight to d4, and that is the definition of this line. So we're going to go continue. Again, it asks me, okay, this is where you've messed up the previous time. Do you know how to play it? Well, yes, bishop to b5 check. First we give a check, then we trade on c6, and only then develop the knight and prepare castling. So, okay, the Folkbeer is on the board. We're going to capture, captures on f4. We're going to go knight f3, bishop to c6 with check. We're going to capture. We're going to go knight to c3, and we're going to go queen to e2 with check, bishop e6, and knight to d4, and that is how you play this line. So we'll go next, and now we again reach this position. So this is the position from the previous Folkbeer, where you don't capture on f4, where you advance the pawn to e4, and we challenge it with d3 right away. So then we have this position where it looks like, stuff could be happening on the f2 square, but we know that queen e2 solves all of our problems. And then you have this position, it's the captures on f4 followed by knight to f6. Of course, you go for the immediate check, and that is how this is done. So now this is the rank test, a focused review of up to 50 positions designed to solidify your knowledge. And now it will blitz you on everything you've learned. So you say, okay, got it. Let's check it out. Okay, so not the most difficult one, as the bishop just captured an f3. We're going to recapture. Captures, we know we have to recapture. You know, probably upon repetition, you will be remembering them more and more. So this is the knight, the d6 followed by knight to c6 line. The so-called timid line, we're going to go with knight to c3. Then you have this one, knight to c6, d3. We're going to go, what do we go here? Knight f3. Yeah, knight f3. Then you have this, again, d6 line. We remember that it's, at least that's how I remember it in my mind, sort of the d3 timid move. Then bishop to g4. We're going to counter it with bishop to e2. Then you have this... again, further setup, okay, we're going to create the pawn chain. We already discussed that. Knight to c3, while it does look nice, grabbing the full center might be the more interesting thing to do. Then, okay, bishop to d6. We know it's queen e2 check, as, you know, then the bishop blocks, then the knight goes to e4. Then knight f6 going after the d5 pawn. We're going to give a nice check, as you have to develop somehow. Black is threatening to pick up the pawn on d5, so you're going to give a check and force that trade. Okay, captures, we know it's knight f3. Bishop to g4. Again, yeah, this is the, yeah, we first developed the bishop, then we challenge the bishop on g4 with h3, and then after captures, then we continue. Okay, this is bishop to e6. We know it's knight d4. Okay, we solved that. Knight to c6. Yeah, I guess we just continue development. Knight to f6. All right, so this is, again... Yeah, c3. No, it's castles. Okay, so here you can see how I've confused it with the other line. But here you first castle, and now again it asks me, okay, how do you counter knight to c6? We're gonna go. Okay, so again, not d3, knight to f3. So here you can already see how it's not that clear, at least not in my mind. You, of course, might get all of it correct. So now again we get this line. Where we have the bishop on g4, knight f6, and the question is how to continue. I imagine here we castle. Yes, and then after knight to c6, we said that, okay, not pawn to d3, or is it pawn to d3? No, d6 is countered with d3. Knight c6, I think we just go knight f3. Then we have this line where knight f6, okay. Do we just castle? No, we go knight c3. No, it is castles. Okay, so the setup with bishop to g4, knight f6, that's castles. Okay, and now it will ask me that again to see if I've managed to remember it. Knight f6, and okay, you get it once again because the app does not believe you've learned it. So is it knight c3? Is it castles? It's castles. And now you get sort of a congratulations. Okay, you've learned the top 25 positions and you've earned the rank of beginner. So you click continue, and you know, you can share it with your friends. You can rate the app in the store. You know, of course, give it 5 stars, as it really does deserve it. We're not going to do it now. And then you click continue. And next up, you can learn the top 50 positions. So this is positions trained, 26 positions. I have a 95% accuracy, which yeah, I actually thought I will get 100, but you know, what are you gonna do? Okay, so finish, and now you can start again. You have the novice section, then you go for the 50 positions, for the 75 positions, for the 100 positions. You also have the crushing lines, which is sort of like if you're a King's Gambit player, it learns from your games, and then the mistakes your opponents make in the opening most often, it will teach you how to properly punish those mistakes, because I've learned, at least in my games, sometimes in the openings that I play, which are usually really weird ones, my opponents make these weird blunders that I never even realize, and I'm like +2, +3, and I just continue the game without realizing there's something to be done there. And there are, you know, quite a lot of those positions. So that's basically it. That's how the app works. teaches you fighting chess, teaches you systematically, so you can always improve every day. You know, if you have like half an hour or an hour to burn improving your chess, you can really like get a lot out of it. I specifically notice the difference when let's say I learned the Joko piano. I hit the 150 positions, and then I go play on leeches, and then someone actually plays it against me. I feel not invincible, but I feel like okay, I know what I'm doing. And that's pretty much it. The things that I wanted to discuss, and also as you guys have asked some of the questions, I have the questions here. So let me just load it up. So the question is, one of the questions that you guys asked: how deep does Lotus chess show variations? And it depends on the variations, but sometimes 15 moves ahead, sometimes 20 moves ahead, sometimes if it's not necessary, even 8 moves ahead. But imply like 20 moves ahead, that's 20 moves for both white and black, so that's 40 ply. 15 moves for both white and black, that's 30 ply. Someone asked how to start. Is it with white, with black, with c4 or d4? And we want to gradually expand the repertoire of our openings, so you'll start with the basics and then branch out. That is, how the team thought that it would properly be addressed. Is there a weekly or a monthly plan / timetable that we can follow instead of choosing random openings depending on our mood? There's a daily training that you can follow. Once you feel confident in the first 50 to 100 positions of an opening, then you can move on to another one. How many lines should we remember per opening? 3, 5, 7, etc. For beginners, about 50 positions covering up to 10 lines is a good deal, or rather approximately 10 lines is a good deal. Stronger players can aim for 100 or even up to 250 lines. And then, you can repeat them over and over again until you really master them. So someone asks, I just started working with Lotus Chess Pro version, and the 2 difficulties I've identified so far are: 1, there doesn't seem to be a way to reset an opening lesson to the absolute starting point, and 2, it doesn't offer any text coaching when playing through the follow-up lessons. So they replied with 1, we will implement a way to reset an opening lesson back to the starting point in the future, so it is coming in one of the future updates. And the second question is something that I've discussed with the team, and it's being addressed, but very, very professionally, and they want to really do the best possible job at it. Because, of course, you guys are not satisfied just learning it by heart. It's nice, but also it would make sense for you to really understand the reason behind the move. And they're still figuring out a way on how to address this issue the most properly. They have a very interesting idea that they are hoping to implement over the course of the next few months, but we will discuss that a little bit further as we will have a Leeches tournament again, this time with prizes. The team will join me, and you will be able to ask them that question in person. But it is, I believe, the most important thing that they are working on now. Someone asked how to see main mistakes I make during the games. Seeing mistakes from your games will also be a part of the next update, as this is, believe it or not, a fairly new app. It's only been on I think on Android since May, and maybe a little bit sooner on iOS, but I think it's around May, or maybe around April, but I think around May. How to see the names of the variations during the training. Variation names are something we want to support better in the future. So I've used many of the names of the variations now. I've been making this video, even though they were not here, as I know them, as I've studied the King's Gambit somewhat. But yeah, I imagine also it would be a good idea to have the names in trainings. Someone said, suggestion, I'd like not to leave the app when I press go back button on my phone. Okay, your point about the back button on Android is valid. We'll try to address it. So I imagine on iOS the back button does not leave the app. On Android it does. I personally didn't find that to be a problem. I don't think I ever left the app on accident, but okay, maybe it's also due to what phone you are using. Someone also asked, I'm on a 41-day streak on Lotus. Would you suggest working through an entire tree for a particular opening one by one? or should I break out to another 3 after a certain time? For example, I'm nearing the end of the Indian defense tree. Should I just finish it and move on, or build up the others? The answer, you can break out of a 3 after around position 100, for example. But I think it's also a fairly individual thing, however you feel feel it most improves your game. I like some openings that I really like. Maybe I will go to 50, 75, 100 right from the start. But openings that I don't play, but I encounter a lot, as I like to play e4 with white, I encounter quite a lot from black. So I go 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, then 50, 50, 50, 50, 75, 75. And day by day, I increase my knowledge, and I think maybe it sticks better that way, because if you go through 100 or even 150 positions of the Gioco piano, and then the next day, okay, I'm going to do this, the next day I'm going to do that, after a week, you address those 150 positions of the Gioco piano that you've learned on day one. I don't know if they will stick as properly as, if you're training maybe 25, 25, 25, 25, and then, just refresh your memory on a daily basis. But I guess it's different from everyone. So, try it out and see what works best for you. That's pretty much it. So that's, I think this is the shortest possible video I could make. Just, gave you an introduction. It will teach you, I haven't shown the crushing lines here, but crushing lines are the best. They teach you, how to dismantle your opponents in 10 moves, and I think you will, win many, many games with that. But of course, that's not the point. The point is to really improve, to really learn from your mistakes, to really be able to spot candidate moves, and just have a. But it's not possible without a sort of a steady base of positions in your head, which you simply have to have. And this, I think, is the first app that I like that is able to do that. Like I say, nothing can, stand in for, let's say, David Bronstein's book about the 1953 Zurich tournament. As you have a grandmaster explaining grandmaster moves in the most grandmasterly way, but also understandable to someone who is maybe rated 2000, 2200. So reading that book will do wonders for your chess. But also you want to have a little bit of everything. If you read that book, you're still gonna lose on move 5 against the French, because let's face it, you don't know how to play the French. So you have to combine everything, and I think this is a very nice way. That's why I've partnered up with them, and like I said, I love it. Hope you like it as well. Hope you love it as well. Download it. First link in the description below. It will take you to both the Android App Store and to the iOS Store, if it's called that. I don't know. So yeah, try it out. Tell me what you think. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in this video. I will reply to them. But also, you can just save them for the live stream, and then ask the founders of Lotus themselves. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until there's a big next update, this is probably it regarding on how to use the app. When there will be a big update, if there's something to address, I will address it, of course, in due time. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.